And you're on.
So anyway, this is the largest group by far, and to watch this class, this honors program evolve has been a tremendous thing. We've talked about this. Vince, I can't believe it's 2001. Golly, Moses, you just got your driver's license, and I probably just got married. But no, it is just a tremendous honor to be here, and I hope you understand the importance of you guys and what you mean for the future of this university, because you're kind of the cream. You're the ones that, well, you're who I dreamed about being, but could never be where you're sitting for obvious reasons. But I want to talk to you tonight. Vince has given me a little bit of an outline that he wants me to discuss with you, but I want to talk to you about 3 or 4 different subjects. Number one, I want to kind of give you my life experience and what's some of the decisions that I made that have actually put me where I am. Some good, some bad. But you all make decisions. And I'll be honest with you, the decisions that you make probably in the next 4 to 5 years at this university are going to be life-changing decisions. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of background about myself and where I come from. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about change. Because if there's any one constant thing in this world, it's change. And I want to talk to you a little bit, and I want to try to give you a little bit of advice while you're here at our great university. I want to tell you about 3 or 4 things that I really would like to see every one of you do. Because why do you come to school? It's for the end result, is to get a job. And that's what our responsibility is as trustees and administration, to provide you that platform to be able to study the subjects that you want to study to get a job once you graduate. And I'm going to try to tell you some things that I look for when I look at hiring people to work for me. And a little bit of background about me is I went to this university. I'm born and raised in Florence, Alabama. My mother was a school teacher. Actually, and there probably some of you in the same situation that I was in, my mother was my 6th grade teacher. And that was not a fun time. Because, you know, when you went home, what did you have to do? You had to do your homework, and she was looking over to make sure that you got the homework done because of that. And back then, there was not such a thing as not having a paddle. So I think that's one reason she retired from teaching, is the fact she couldn't paddle anybody anymore. Because I didn't fear my dad. I feared my mom. And she could wear you out with that paddle. But the thing about it is, if she paddled you with it, you got to put your initials in it. And so my initials were in it several times. All of you have just made the decision to come to this university. For whatever reason, you decided to come here. And I want to go back many years to why I decided to come here. I was one of those students that when I was in high school, and I really hate talking about things like this because it makes me feel uncomfortable, but I was a pretty good football player. Actually, I probably thought I was a lot better football player than I really was. I had opportunities in college to play football, but where I wanted to go to school, they could care less, and that was the university that I always wanted to go to, and that was Auburn. I'm a huge Auburn fan. For y'all, I know there's several Alabama fans, maybe a few Auburn. But I wanted to go to Auburn, and I wanted to play football. Well, Auburn didn't want me to come to play football. I had opportunities to come here and play, and a couple of other smaller Division I schools. But that was my dream. My mom and my dad and I sat down and had a conversation. I wanted to be an architect, and Auburn had one of the best schools of architecture that you could get in. So we sat down and we discussed and decided that for me, I was going to come to the University of North Alabama for 2 years. And I was going to take all of my hard classes my first couple of years. Stupid me took 18 hours my very first semester. Calculus, physics-based calculus, and all the other requirements that you had to take. I was not a, you guys are a lot smarter than me, but that was not the smartest thing I ever did because I worked full time. I had an opportunity to come to, actually, a lot of the guys that played football here were trying to get me to come out and play for North Alabama. And I basically made the decision not to do that, to go to school. So you look back, now that you look back, you wonder how those decisions affected your life. And I worked for the Florence Park and Recreation Department. I did that since I was 15 years old. And I got to the point when I was at the university, I helped run the athletic program. So I ran the pee-wee footballs, the baseballs, and all of that. So here I am. I make the decision that I'm going to come to UNA for 2 years, take the most difficult classes I could take, so that when I got to Auburn, I had those out of the way. Well, another decision came along my way, and Vince has already talked about it. There was this little girl, and I met her after I graduated high school. I went to Bradshaw, she went to Coffee. I didn't know her in high school, but I saw this girl, and I thought to myself, I'm going to marry her one day. And I did say that. The only problem was she was dating my best friend. So that kind of caused a little bit of ill will. But she used to give me some really good dates because we double dated a lot. And so she still talks about some of the dates she got me back then. But long story short, we became very close friends. And my buddy, knew that things were not going well with him and her. So all of our friends thought something's about to happen. Either they're going to get into it, or, long story short, they broke up. And we kind of started dating. This was the end of my freshman year, second semester freshman year. My grades were not really as good in the second semester as they were the first semester because I had refocused on her instead of school. But that's all right. That was another decision I'd made. But after my second semester of freshman, we decided we were going to get married. 19 years old. Well, 40 years later, still working. But my mother and daddy didn't think that was a real smart decision. But it was a decision. And it's a decision that I made, and I look back now at how that's affected my life. What if I'd have gone to Auburn to start with? Never would have met her. Never would have had 2 beautiful kids that I adore and 6 wonderful grandchildren. But I made that decision. I made the decision then, well, I wasn't going to be an architect. So I decided I was going to be a park and recreation director. So I go to my boss, who was the director of Park and Recreation, and said, hey, I'm not going to Auburn. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to be a Park and Recreation director. Tell me what major I need to change to. And I said, I'll get into health and PE, whatever I need to do. He said, nope. I said, I'm going to teach you Park and Recreation. I want you to get into business. I want you to learn accounting, management, marketing, things like that. And I'll teach you how to become a Park and Recreation director. So I get into accounting. Accounting was like going back to kindergarten after physics and calculus and stuff like that. I hope I'm sure there's some accounting majors in here, but it was kind of, the first couple of classes were very simple because I could do the math and I could do the science. Now, conjugating a verb was a whole different story, or sentence or whatever, you can tell that. My grammar's not the best in the world either. Some of my former professors here reminded me of that a lot. But so I changed my major to accounting. Got married my sophomore year. And my grades shot straight up. You know, you didn't have to worry about going out on dates. You stayed home and had a hamburger if you were lucky. 20-year-old kids. And my mom and dad fell in love with my wife. And she was the best thing that's ever happened. She gave me confidence that I didn't have. I couldn't speak to you guys until I was 30 years old. I had no confidence to speak to anybody. My grades, I graduated, and while I was my senior year, again, I was going to be a park and recreation director. State Farm Insurance comes knocking at my door. Long story short, they asked me to become a State Farm agent. So I look around the community and I saw the State Farm agents and how involved they were in the community. And I noticed they all lived in pretty nice houses too. So I went to my boss and told him that I was going to be a State Farm agent. And I did that at 23 years old. I was fortunate enough that I was the second youngest ever hired in the state of Alabama. And I don't know why they hired me. To this day, I don't know why they hired me. But I did get hired. My boss at the Park and Recreation Department said, you go do it. You need to do it. You need to try it. If it doesn't work, then you can always be a Park and Recreation Director when you're 25. So I did it. I got lucky. I had a lot of people help me. And I've been a State Farm agent ever since I got out of school. One of the biggest things that ever changed me, though, is I joined a group called the JCs. And I know that I think most of the JCs clubs have gone out. But they had this personal development group. They taught you how to speak. They gave you confidence, and you did a lot of wonderful things in the community. So I was in there for a couple of years and missed a meeting and got elected president, which happens a lot. But our JC group went from 44 members one year to the end of my year as president to 144. So we got a lot of recognition. I got a lot of recognition, but it was a team effort. It wasn't me. But I learned a lot about leadership. I learned a lot about teamwork, and I learned a lot about myself. With this, I had another decision. I had an opportunity to go to Las Vegas to represent the Florence JCs. I don't think I've ever even told this story. But I go out there, and remember, we're all 28 to 33 years old in Las Vegas. So I think you all have an idea of what all took place out there. We had a large time. There was about 6,000 of us from all across the country. Well, I went to this social gathering and with one of my fellow JCs, and there was this couple that came up to me. I mean, all night long, and they were feeling pretty good. But they come up to me and said that we are the casting directors for this TV show called Chips. None of you know what that is. Vince may remember it, but it was a very popular TV show back in the 80s. Two guys that were highway patrolmen riding motorcycles down LA freeway. They come up to me and said, one of the stars has contract issues, is not coming back, and we're looking for a Southern guy to take his place. I started laughing. Yeah, sure. You lied. You're feeling really well. But they kept coming back all night long. So I just and gave me their card and said they were the casting agents for this TV show. And they wanted me to come to Los Angeles to take a screen test. I had a lot more hair back then. It was really black. And so I guess, and I did speak fluent Southern. So I think they wanted that aspect of it as well. So I just ignore it. I think it's just they're just pulling my leg. And so my buddy and I get on the plane and we're leaving Las Vegas and we start laughing about the story because they'd come up like 8 or 9 times. And I said, can you believe the story about those people? The guy punched me on the back, sitting behind us, and said, are you talking about so-and-so and so-and-so? I said, yeah. I said, they are the casting agents for that TV show. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I didn't even have the card anymore. I'd thrown it away because I thought it was something. But again, a decision. Of course, I never would have gotten that part anyway, but I look back at it and I think at it now of what if I had? What if I'd have been fortunate enough to get on a TV show. I could have been the latest Sheldon Cooper. Not a George Clooney. I'm sure I'd have been somebody else. But that's a decision that we made. And so the point I'm trying to make is that you're going to make decisions all throughout your life that are your life experiences. And they will dictate the future, whether it's who you meet to marry, whether it's what you get involved in here on campus that may make you into somebody that you had no idea you could be. And that's something that I think that's really important, is that you make these decisions. When you travel down a road, I dare say any of us right now, unless we had our iPhones or a map, could not start in Florence, Alabama and drive to Newport Beach, California. Not without some kind of map. Now, or Siri telling me, oh, I got to tell you all Siri story real quick. But anyway, I better not tell you that because it has a cuss word in it. But you go down these roads and you come to these intersections and you make these decisions. Do I go straight? Do I turn left? Do I turn right? And whatever you do, whatever decision you make, may change your life forever. And I look, you're all young and you haven't made a lot of those decisions yet, but you will. And when you get to my age and you look back and you think, I met that girl at a social, or she was part of the honors class and we worked on this together, and I fell in love with her. Those are decisions that you make. Or if you're involved, I dare say a lot of you haven't decided what your major is. Y'all may have, because you're fairly above average when it comes to making decisions like that on what you want to do. But a lot of you haven't, or some of you haven't, and that's okay. I didn't make my mind what my major was going to be until after I had some experiences here. But I got to be with State Farm, and fortunate enough, I have been there ever since I got out of school. And I've been able to I've been blessed. I had a lot of people help me, and I've been fairly successful with that. But my involvement in the JCs, when I was president of JCs, got me a lot of recognition that I really didn't deserve as an individual because we were teams. And all my guys in JC said, we're going to run you for state president of the JCs, or we're going to run you for city council president for the city of Florence. We decided that one. I got elected city council president at 30 years old and served there for 17 years before I decided not to run. Another decision. And a lot of things that I was able to do with the help of the other council members and the mayor, you're getting to see a result of those today. The conference center, the Marriott, the Tower, the Harbor, Dibert Park, Blackberry Trail Golf Course, the library downtown. We all started doing things there to make Florence a better place to live. But we made that decision, and we worked together as a team to get me elected, which I didn't think would have a chance because we were running against the guy that had been mayor for 8 years. But it happened. Good Lord let it happen, whether it was a curse or a blessing. But being in local politics, and we were every other Tuesday, we were live on TV. And it was the #1 rated TV show in the shows at 5 o'clock on Tuesday afternoons. Why? It's because we had all this junk. When you start dealing with somebody getting stuff picked up, or there are city politics, it's just everybody's interested in it. But I got elected to that and was blessed. After I decided that I was not going to run for city council president again, the governor says, hey, how would you like to be on the board of trustees at North Alabama? I said, yes, I'd love to. Oh, digress. When I got elected president of the city council, Guess who I was over? Park and Recreation Director. He struggled with that a little bit, but I loved it. I'd gig him every so often and said, you know, remember that time you made me clean those restrooms? Yeah. I just wanted to remind you of it. Now, you know, I'm your boss. So it was a fun time. It was a fun time. And I met a lot of great people and was very fortunate to be involved in that and to have a small part of some of the decisions that have helped. One of the decisions that I helped with was getting Fraternity Row started. When I was elected, all the fraternities were in the neighborhoods. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are young, but I don't know how many of your parents would like to have their house right next door to a fraternity. I dare say very few. I know I would. So we went to Montgomery, got some money, did the infrastructure for where the houses are now, and that's when they started building the fraternities over there, which really made a lot of people in the city happy because they were all out of the neighborhood. Vince, actually, there was one over not far from your house, to be honest with you. And that was not a happy sight for those people over there. But it's again, decisions that you make. And we're all going to make them. I keep saying that, but we're all going to make them. And it's been fun. I'm to the point in my career now where I want to spend as much time as I can with my grandkids. I've got 5 people that work for me, and I'm very fortunate that they all do a really good job. I want to talk to you a little bit more about some things that I think that are important to you as UNA students. And I've seen this whether you're a traditional student or whether you are a non-traditional student such as I was. These are all important. And when I look at hiring somebody, and I've got an intern that works for me now that is in the professional selling classes, and he graduates in May. But I want to tell you about 3 or 4 things that to me, would make you ready for a job. And number 1 is get involved. You're involved in the honors class, and I know you do a lot of things as a group. You're going to make friends. You're going to make people. I know you're all out of high school, and a lot of your close friends are people you went to high school with. I dare say by the time you get out of UNA, your close friends are going to be the ones that are in college. You may still have a couple of close friends in high school, but you girls, the ones that are going to be your bridesmaids, are going to be the ones you meet in college. You may have 1 or 2 high school students, friends that are there. You guys, same thing. All your buddies that you're going to be around are going to be your college buddies. It just happens. You may have 1 or 2 of your high school buddies that you stay close to, but most of them are going to be involved in that. They're friends for life. The friends you meet in college are friends for life. And that's real important. But get involved in something, whether it's Greek organization, whether it's Lagrange Society, but get involved because that's very important when it comes to looking at your job resume. Number 2 is study abroad. If you get an opportunity to go abroad, take it. There's scholarships available, and somebody told me, it brings the classroom to life. And if you ever get that opportunity, do it, because I've said to this class many times, when I competed for a job back when I was your age, all I had to worry about was the people that were right there. When you compete for a job, you're competing against people from all over the world, not just people local, because this is a global society and people now compete for jobs all over the place, from all over the world. Do an internship, get involved in the community, campus community, and if you get an opportunity to study abroad, don't miss that opportunity to visit other people's cultures. It's an amazing opportunity to visit people like yourself from a foreign country and to understand what they go through on a day-to-day basis at their schools or in the lives of the families you may be staying with, because it is completely different than what we have here. Be able to communicate with people. You know, these things have changed. These things have changed your life. What were they saying yesterday in that marketing group that the class of 2018 will have never not known an iPhone? Well, we used to play kick the can for fun at my house. We didn't have games. We didn't have Xboxes. We didn't have all this stuff. And Mama would come out and blow the horn of the car when it's time to eat supper. So nowadays, I understand. I mean, I had 2 kids grow up. Both of them are actually in the computer business now. My daughter, Vince is a good friend with my daughter. She's actually spoken to the honors class several times. She works for Google. And she understands computers, understands the way they work, and understands how this world revolves around computers. My son, on the other hand, is into computer security. He works for a consulting firm in Nashville that deals with big, huge corporate companies trying to protect their websites from hackers. And he's pretty good at it, because I'll be on my computer at home, and next thing I see, it says, "Hi, Dad." So I thought, where have I been? So, I have to watch my son, because he's scary good with computers. Scary good with computers. And he's done very well. But when you communicate with somebody, and I've told Vince this before, I did a job fair, career fair, a few years ago up here, and one of the things that really disturbed me, and I see all of you, and I love this because you're looking at me, and that's important. When we had that table set up for the career fair, and I had my State Farm stuff set out, if people come by in a line, if 10 people came by, 2 looked at me in the eye and shook my hand. Well, that to me is because some of the generations have learned how not to communicate. And we depend on these for our communication. Now, I'm sure y'all can text a lot faster than I can. And I have written insurance on actually some of the former soccer players. One of them got my cell phone number from her coach. She now is a graduate assistant in Jacksonville State. She bought a car, one of the insurance rates. I never talked to her. Not one time. Everything was done by text. That's the way that this world is headed. It's there. So, but communication, verbal communication is still there. I read one time where when you communicate with somebody, that it's 7% of it what you say, what you listen to, actual words, and that around 37% of it is the tone of voice that you say it in. Now, I've got friends, when they walk in the room and say hello, they can make people mad just because of their tone of voice. And I've talked to them before, and I said, listen. Of course, most of them are from not here. They are not from the South. They're a little north of the Mason-Dixon line. But they just have a tendency to be gruff. And I said, loosen up. Make people feel welcome that you're talking to them. But the biggest part of it, 56%, is your body language. It's how they read you, what you say, and how you say it, and the tone of voice. So if you ever get the opportunity to sit down at an interview, do it. I don't care if it's to practice. Sit down in front of people so you can interview with these HR people and make an impression. Because, as they've said for years, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And that's what happens a lot of times on that. I know it's getting close, but I want to talk to you a little bit about UNA. This class, this group, and I'll tell you this, you are the luckiest kids in the history of this university because of what's happening at this university right now, and before you leave, that you'll be able to take advantage of that students many years before you helped plan but never got to see it to fruition. The Commons Building, I still call it the Success Center. One of the best things we ever did if we use it right, because it allows students that may be having problems, whether it's personal life or whether it's academic or whether it's family, that they have a place they can go and somebody can help. And that's part of it. It's also a place to gather as you're going, whatever it is, Thursday to Starbucks, and you'll have Frostbite, Chick-fil-A. The bookstore is in there, and it's all nice and new. But one of the things that you're going to be able to enjoy is, where am I? It's right down here. It's the new science building. When I first got on the Board of Trustees, which was 13 years ago, I'm in my second 12-year term, so I'll be on the board for 24 years, good Lord willing. We talked about the science building. No, let me back up. We talked about a new science building when I was in school, when we went to Floyd Science Building. And it was needed many, many years ago. The success that our professors have had with the conditions that they've had to work with are beyond belief. Some of our labs are not as good as some of the junior high school labs that y'all went to. It's even high school labs weren't even, there was no comparison. But what these professors did with what they had to work with is beyond belief. But now they're going to have the best. They're going to have state-of-the-art, and you're going to be able to take advantage of that for those of you that are interested in science. And it's going to be great. Another thing that you see is just now started over here is our new housing. We are, hopefully, part of that will be ready fall of next year. I've had a little bit of disagreement with some of the administration, and I'm still not 100% convinced, but when those dorms get built, then we're going to require all freshmen to live on campus, with some exceptions. I went along with it. I'm still not sure if it's the best thing, because there are mitigating circumstances where they don't need to live on campus. And I'm concerned about the parking. Anybody here concerned about parking at this university? That's what I thought. When I went to school here, we could ride right in front of Bibb Graves, and I could park right there on the corner. That's before they closed all the roads up. And if you had an 8 o'clock class, it was easy because nobody had 8 o'clock classes back then. Everybody wanted to sleep late. But I went to school from 8 to 12 and then went to work. So I got to get in and get all the good parking places. But you're a part of the group that's going to be able to take advantage of all this. Another thing that I think will happen before you get out of school is our athletic program will be on a different level. We will be playing schools that you know of. They're actually, oh yeah, I know that school. Now, I'm not sure if I know half the ones we play. But it's going to put us on a level where we get national publicity from. And that's a marketing tool to get students to this university. I don't know what brought y'all here, whether it was the honors program, whether it was you wanted to major here, where you had a parent came here, or you're on, I know some of them are on athletic scholarships, honors program scholarships, but whatever got you here, you're here. And we're glad you're here, because this is, you are the cream. You're the ones that 10 years from now, we're going to come after for money for the alumni, because y'all the ones that are going to make it all. So be ready for that. We're going to copy names down now. We got you on video, so we'll have to see who you are. But take advantage of what this university has to offer. Don't just come to class and leave because you're not getting the experience that you need to have. And you're not making friends that you'll keep for life. And that's really important to be able to do that, as I mentioned earlier. Somebody said one time that there's no elevator to success. You have to climb the stairs. And if you want to be successful here at this university, you got to study hard. Time management is crucial. Y'all have all been in high school. Now, all of a sudden, if I don't feel like going to class, I ain't got to go. That's an option you have that maybe you didn't have when you were in high school. Studying, a lot of your work, you got to manage your time, and you got to understand that you got to get your priorities right. But I appreciate having the opportunity to come and speak to you. I know it's we've got a little bit of time. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or not, but it's exciting to see y'all here. I love looking at young people's in your faces and the enthusiasm and the excitement that you have, especially ones that are just starting through this university. Your eyes are wide. You're experiencing things that you've never experienced before, and enjoy it.
I have time for a couple of questions for Trustee Pierce, so shoot them if you got them.
Oh, can I tell you my serious thing? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. No.